welcome back everybody. My name is Dustin, and in this video we're actually going to do something a little bit different. This is the actual development branch of the game engine of where I'm at right now. So what we're going to do here is see what kind of game I can make in an hour. So that's the goal for today, and let's get started. So the first thing I'm going to do is start a new project, and we're just going to call this the hour test project. And where do I want to put it? I'm just going to put it on the desktop. Okay. And it's going to be on the desktop. So what's our width of the screen? We're going to just put it to 1366 and to 768. And then we're going to hit create. Awesome. So that project was created for us. See how it says hour test up here? Cool. So first thing I'm going to want to do is actually create a scene. And we'll just create a new scene. And we're just going to call this the graveyard. Now I already have some assets that I grabbed beforehand to help me in the development of this. So we're going to go ahead and do that. So it's just a graveyard. Cool, so that's our new scene. Let's load our scene. Cool, and it'll load this here. This is just your grid, 1366. But we're actually only gonna make the scene, let's change the canvas here. We're gonna make it 640 by 480. Cool, so that's our scene. So now that we have our scene, we're gonna wanna make a quick tile map. So let's do that now. So you see here, we have our tools, we have our create tiles, select tool, move tool. So let's make a quick tile map right here. We're going to want to add a tile set. First thing I'm going to want to do is not go to that, is go to, got a bunch of stuff going on here. We want to go to desktop, and we want to go to test game assets, and go to our assets, and textures, and we have the graveyard texture, and the ground tiles. So we'll do the ground tiles first. Actually, we'll just add them both right now, and then we'll grab the graveyard as well. Cool, and that automatically what that does is add them into our textures. So we generated these two textures out of it, and it also added it into our tile sets. So what we're setting as tile sets. So let's grab the ground tiles first, and this is our tile set here. Okay, so first thing I'm gonna do, let's put some grass down. Let's do like a darkish colored grass. This is good here. And right now we have the grid snap on, and let's just get some space. And we're just gonna be, oh, we have put all these, see, I have collider here, check mark. We don't actually want that. So if I go here and turn on this, it shows all these colliders. We don't want that. So let's just get rid of all of these. Cool, those are all gone now. And we actually want to get rid of our collider. Let's start again, and we'll just run it. Cool, just a bunch of grass. For now, we'll just go here like this. We'll see. We're not doing anything too special, but let's, cool. Yeah, so we don't really have any rhyme or reason with this one. We're just trying to make a quick little map, see what we can do. The cool thing is, if there's already a tile there, it won't rewrite over the tile. So every time you place a tile, you check to see if there's already a tile there. Now it does have, you can do Control Z to get rid of the last tile you placed, or you can just hit right click and delete the tile. Okay, so there's our ground tiles, just some basic stuff, nothing really creative here. So let's change our to the graveyard tiles. Awesome. The first thing I'm going to want to do is just create like a wall. Let's create a wall. We'll just do that here, and we're going to want to add a collider, and it's going to want to have physics. And we're going to want to make the collider 16 by 16 for now. And what kind of filter category is this? This is a wall. And we want to have enemies don't want to move, so we'll add that mask, and we're going to have the player, and that's good for now because we're not doing very much with it. And we'll just start here. Oh yes, you see I'm trying to click but it's not placing it. That's because there's already a tile there at this particular layer. So if I want to actually place this tile, I need to change its layer. So we're going to put this to layer 1. Cool. Awesome, there's our tile, and you see it has our collider. And let's just make, whoops. Take our time. Awesome, there's our walls. Now let's add a couple of gravestones in there. Not really sure what that is, but it's going in. Okay. So now that we have that, let's do a little house thing. And we do 1, 2, and then let's change our layer for this to layer 3. I'm going to want the player to be at layer 2. So anything that's layer 3 will be above the player. Cool, and we're going to turn the collider off for the top of this, so we looks like we go behind it. Okay, so we got a little house and everything right now. Let's put these here. So I'm going to want to actually change my width to 32 by 32, and I want to pick this whole thing. I just go bloop, place these in like a little altars or whatever. I'm not sure what those are, but we're going to just place them in just for fun. Oh, I didn't want them at layer 3 though. Let's go back and put them at layer 1. Awesome. And we'll put this one in the middle. 2, 3, awesome. Now let's go to actually adding in a character. So over here, we just right click and go add game object, and we're gonna call this the player. Cool, that's the player, and we're gonna bring this down here. So this is our player. And Well, we can actually start our player over here. So this is our player. So since we already have this selected, if we go to object properties, we can actually add a component. Let's add a component, and first thing we'll do is, so you can see the player, let's add a sprite component. Cool, add sprite, okay. Let's go to our asset manager. Now I don't have anything I want here, so I'm actually gonna wanna go to add texture. So right click, add texture, get the asset name. It's gonna want to file browse. So here, and we're gonna use the red player. And it'll just come up as red player. Cool, that's our red player. I'm just gonna add the other textures while we're at it. And night. All right, so that'll be like the enemy that we're gonna try to create. So since we have our sprite texture, now we wanna just drag this onto here. That gives us our red player. The width is 32 by 32 for the width. And we're gonna wanna put this guy at the layer 2. Awesome, so there's our little red guy right there. Awesome, so right now we can save that, and we're gonna wanna add a box collider. So we go here, add component, box collider. All right, so right now it has a box collider of 0, 0. If we just scroll and bring this down, we wanna make it, well, let's see what 16 by 16 looks like. See, it's huge and it's off because it's based on the corner here. So this is a 32 by 32. So we're gonna have to add an offset, and the offset we can put 8, and then let's put 8 down. We actually want it more than that. Let's go 16 down. Cool. Now I don't like, that's too much. So let's actually take a bit away. So let's make him 10 wide and move it over 10. Cool. And we'll make it 12 high. 12 high? Yeah, 12 high works. And we'll start with that and see how it goes. So now that we have a box collider, we want to enable physics. I want to use the in-game physics. Right now we're using box 2D for the physics. So we're going to want to enable the physics, and we just keep it as is. The default parameters work fine. Now, since this is top down, we don't really want him to be affected by gravity, because if we run it, I think we can run it right now. Nope, we have to add physics. So let's add in, so let's go to our, add another component, and we'll add in a physics component. Okay, cool. So now he has a physics component, and he's not 100 kilograms. So let's just put 10, and friction, let's put to 0.1, and everything else can stay fine. This guy is a dynamic body, and the filter category for this is a player. Filter mask, we want to get enemy, triggers, items, walls, etc. You can add more if needed. So the user data, this is the player for our tag. Okay, so if I run it now with physics enabled, this guy should drop. So let's see what happens. Oh, looks like I have a breakpoint here. Let's actually get rid of that. Sorry about that. And he drops. See, he's dropping there. Awesome. So if we stop it, go back to our tile map editor here, and we change our gravity scale to 5, he should actually drop faster. So if we go here and drop, see he's moving at a faster rate. Awesome. So we know our physics is working, but we actually want him to have a 0 gravity scale. We don't want him to fall at all. So we check it. Cool. Not falling. And we're good. So now we're not really doing anything with the player, right? Like we don't have a camera or anything. So let's actually open up. So if we go to our views, open up our content display. We can go to our code, and we can open up main.lua. So this is the main.lua file. This is created for you when you first start the game. Like when you first create a game, a bunch of files are created for you, and this is one of them. And there's also, if you look in here, this is actually all these folders are created for you as well. The assets, all these are created for you, and then the textures and all that. Now, what we should have been doing is, instead of adding the textures in the way that we did, we should have been putting them into our content, our actual content of the game. Right now, we're referencing it outside of the game package, but that's fine. This will do for now. But what we could do is add those in and change how we're referencing them. So we can do that now. We can just go here. We can go to our test assets, our textures, and we can actually just start dragging these in, right? If we want. What are we in right now? Sorry, I need to fix it. Textures is what we want. Graveyard, ground tiles, night. And now these are being actually added into our game folders. Awesome. So the first thing we can actually add in is a camera system for the player. So let's check that out right now. If we go to our code, we can come here and we can go create new folder, and we can call this systems. That created a new folder for us, and in here we can go new Lua objects. And what do I want to create? I actually want to create a Lua follow camera. Awesome, so it created this file for us. Let's open it up. So this is just a simple follow camera file that's created in Lua. This is created for us by the engine. And all we have to do is give it the entity that we want this to update on. So that's what we'll update. So we have to create it, and then it'll update the camera based on the entity's position. We have the camera, but it's not actually created yet. So we want to go here, and this is all for testing. So we're just going to go G camera system is equal to camera system create. And what does that take? That takes in, so first actually we should have grabbed the camera from the engine. So local camera is equal to camera 2D dot get. So we're getting an instance of the camera, and we're gonna send that in here, and we're gonna send it in as cam. And then now we need to set the parameters for the camera. So it has a min x, we'll have that as 0. Min, or let's do max x, and we'll do that as 640. Then min y, max y, min y 0, max y is equal to 480. That's what we set our map to, and we'll set the scale as 4. So scale is equal to 4. Awesome. So that's our camera system set up. However, we don't have the player yet. It doesn't know like what the entity is. So we're gonna need to get the entity. So let's go G player. Everything's just gonna be global for now because it's all testing, just to show. So G player is equal to nil. So we'll just set this to nil for now. And we'll go local view is equal to registry get entities, and it has to have a player component. So we're gonna get the entities with the player component. So what we should do is actually we have to go back and add that to our character. So we have our character here, and then we want to add a component, and it has a player component somewhere. Right here, player component. Awesome, so it has the player component. We'll save that just in case. Go back to our main.lua. So we have a view of all the players, and there's only one, but we still just want to go view for each entity that we have. We want to go function on that entity, and then we want to go end to close off our function. And because this takes a callback function, and this is it here, it's going if entity dot tag. I changed that in the videos. As I do the videos, I actually make many different changes to the engine. The videos are making me be better and create the engine in a better way. So lots of changes are coming. Is equal to player, then G player is equal to the entity ID. Cool. And once we have that, we can return. And we want to end here as well. Awesome. So now that we have our player and we have our camera, we can try to update the camera. So we go G camera system, update G player. Cool, and let's just run this. So let's go back to the engine and see what happens in our scene. And it didn't work, so we should have an error. Should probably get rid of all of that. So we should have an error here. Cool. Perfect, so attempt to index nil value G camera system. Cool, that's a good error. Let's see why. So if we go back to our main.lua, we're getting the camera system, but the Lua doesn't know anything about this file. Like, this file's in a whole different place. So we're actually gonna need to run this script. So there's two ways we can do it. We can call the run script function and just send in the path, assets, code, systems, camera system.lua. And let's see if that works. Path may not be correct. Nope, path is not correct. Yeah, see right here. No such file or directory. So let's go back to our main.lua. And it might be this one. Oh, it might not even be assets. It's probably just code. Cool. And we'll run again. Awesome. So that's one way. So that's updated our camera and moved it to where our player is. Perfect. Now another way we could have done this is we come up here into edit and we go to options. We have our script list and we load scripts. It'll show us all the scripts that we have. It'll ignore the main script and you can generate a script list file. And then every time it runs, it'll run based on the script list. Okay. So we have our player. Now let's move that player. We want to be able to move that player around. So what we're going to do here is go create a new function. Usually you would do state machine and different things like that, but we're on a time constraint, so we're going to try our best to get this done. And we're going to go function update player. And it's going to take in the player. Awesome. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to get some components. We're going to need the physics component, and we're going to need the sprite component, and animation component. It doesn't have animation yet, and speed component. So let's go local physics is equal to player get component, and it's the physics component. Cool. And then we go local sprite is equal to player get component, sprite component. Awesome. And then we can say local speed because we want the player. We're going to be moving the player here. We'll just start it with 10. All right. First thing I'm going to do is set the velocity of the player to 0. So physics dot set linear velocity, and this takes in a vec2 of 0, 0. Awesome. And then we want to go if input manager dot move left. Then we don't need this. I program daily in C++, so I forget all the time when I'm using Lua. We don't need that. So in Lua we don't need that. So if I'm moving left, I want to set my physics set linear velocity vec2. So if we're moving left, it's going to be negative speed and 0. And then go else if. Let's copy this. Then, so if not move left, move right. Copy this. We're moving right, it's not negative speed, and then we can just copy all of this. Move up. Zero, and this would be negative speed. And then move down. Zero speed. And okay, let's just see if that's gonna work. So here, and then we're just gonna say, let's update the player first. So update player, and we'll send in gplayer. So now that we're updating the player, you saw a bunch of stuff there that showed the input manager, but we haven't set any of those yet. So we actually have to go back into the engine and set those. So if we go here and go to input manager, we end up with our game actions. It's similar to Unity. I didn't know what to really do here. I just put some fire buttons in. But for now, we're just gonna set the game, the move up, we'll just call it up. And we don't care about the gamepad button right now, but for key, we're gonna set up to W. Wherever that is, W. Cool. And move down is going to be, so let's say down, and key, move down is going to be S. Move left, we'll say left. Not gamepad button. That does work though. So move left, we're gonna say A. And move right. We're gonna set to D. Cool, and then we're gonna set our action button. We're gonna set this to just space. Cool, that's good for now. Save that, and let's go to our scene and run it, see what happens. So it's not moving. So we have some errors here. Key index is beyond, held, int. So it looks like there's an error here that we have to fix, and that's fine. In our code, we're just gonna come in here and set it to 1, 1, 1, 1. And it's still not working. Right now, I've made some changes to the input manager, so it looks like I do have to have my gamepad plugged in. Right now it doesn't see it. Cool, so now we have our gamepad plugged in, and let's try, see what happens. That's because we don't have any of our buttons set for these buttons. So we got some issues. We're gonna have to fix those issues, which is great. That's why we're doing these videos. Go back to our input manager, and let's set our buttons. So up is gonna be D-pad up, down, left, and gamepad right. Cool. Oh, not for attack, sorry. D-pad right. And for action, let's just set as A. Sure. Let's see if that works. Go back to our scene. Oh yeah. So, sorry about that. I forgot. We actually have to set the inputs. So it doesn't automatically take hold. Let's actually try again. There we go. So it wasn't actually taking hold because I wasn't actually setting the inputs. So it was just looking at -1, and -1 is an invalid value. But now I've got the keyboard and the gamepad set up. So now I'm actually using the gamepad here to move around, or the keyboard. So it both work. So that's not really fun, just moving around that way. Let's actually see if our physics work if we stop at a wall. Awesome, so physics is working. We're stopping at a wall. Come here. So see that one tile there? It's above us. That's my fault. Let's fix that. And you see we go behind. Let's actually get rid of the colliders here. Awesome, that looks good. So this here, that shouldn't be doing that. We should be on top of this one. That should be a 1. So let's go to our tile map editor. We can fix that right away. Here, and go to change our tiles. And the last one was layer 3. Oops, sorry, I'm making mistakes. Last one, so we go here, we actually want to change this to layer 3. In order to delete that, it has to be layer 3. And we'll change this back to 16 by 16. Cool, and we'll go here, it deleted it for us. Let's go back to our tile set, and let's get that same one again. Awesome. But we're gonna change it to layer 1. Cool, layer 1, no colliders, awesome. Go back to our scene, restart our scene, and it should work for us. All right, yeah, see, there we go. It's working good. We got our gravestones over here, awesome, it's doing its thing. And you see how the camera follows us, right? It's following us, and it also will stop at the end. It already does that for us, so we just have to set in the parameters that we want, and you can change those on the fly if necessary. Awesome, cool. So there's that. So now let's add in some animation. So let's go back to our tile map editor, and let's look at our guy here. Okay, So let's go and select him. Select our player. Awesome. So we got our player selected, and so let's go back to here and add in another component, and we'll add an animation component. So add, boom, so he's got an animation component now. Let's go see what we have. Num frames, so I believe this is 6. So if we go back to our textures, you can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Awesome. Right now, we don't have it where I can click on it and see in the inspector or the object properties what it looks like. However, if we go to content display and go to our assets, go to our textures, and we know that this is we don't have it. So we need to add that in. Let's add that player in here. Just remember, I accidentally loaded it from something else. So let's add our red player in, cool. And from here, we can double click and it'll open it up in your favorite editor or picture thing. So this guy has 6. So it's right, left for idle, and then this is for walking. So right now he only has a couple animations, left and right. All right, that's fine. So now that we know that, number of frames, it's 6. And frame rate, we'll just say 10. See what that looks like, and it's not vertical. Okay, so there's no frame offset, and we can go to our tools and we go play animations. And this is just a blinking animation, which is fine. That's the idle animation. So now that we actually have added the animation component, we can add that in our script. So let's go back to our Lewis script, and let's grab our animation component. We might as well grab it at the top. Local animation is equal to player get component animation. Awesome. So now that we have animation component, so I got a little hack I'm going to do here because I need to know if I'm looking left or right. So we'll just say local left is equal to false, and down here we're going to say input manager dot reset. Now the reason why I'm putting in a 1 here is because it's gamepad 1. So it's going to look for gamepad 1 and then reset whatever is in there. So input manager, so reset. We want to reset it. We're going to go if input manager is reset, then we want to go if left, then we want to set sprite dot start y is equal to 1, else sprite dot start y is equal to 0, and awesome. Then from there, let's actually make this a bit bigger if I can. Cool, that's better. We now know that we need to move our y because we're not moving vertical. Our animations are horizontal animations. So if we want to get to the next layer, we need to move down 1 or up 1. So for move left, we actually have to change our sprite dot start y. So where are we starting? And is that going to be at 3? And that's going to be left equals true. Cool. And if we go back to so it shows here, so this guy's going to be moving left. This is the moving. This is moving right, moving left. This is idle left, idle right. So this is 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So if we're moving right, we can copy these. And this is 2, and this is false. Now, because he doesn't have an up animation or a down animation, we're just going to keep it based on which direction we are. Okay, so we can just copy this here, and here go if left 3, if not 2. Copy this again. Cool. All right, but that's not going to do anything just by itself. Just because we set it, we actually have to set our UV values. So we need to update our UV values for our sprite. So we have to go sprite.uvs.v is equal to sprite.start y times sprite.uv height. And that should work for us. Let's see what happens. Let's go back to the engine and run our scene. We can turn off our animations here. We don't need them right now. And we'll run our scene. Awesome! So there it goes. Our animations are working. Cool. So I got about 15 minutes. So this video is still going to be edited, but let's see what else we can do in 15 minutes. So let's quickly add in a new game object here. Okay, and we'll go up. And before we add it, we're not going to just add it. We're going to just duplicate the player. So duplicate game object, awesome. And it made a new player. That's this here. See how we have 2 players, but we're going to change this, and we're going to change this to the enemy. Yeah, very, very simple there. And if we go back to our asset manager, and right now we have our enemy, and we go to our texture, we can just drag in the night texture. Cool, but it's a little bit messed up here. Have it reload the texture, awesome. So there's our night, and he has basically the exact same things. Okay, the only thing is we can't change the masks right now. I have to put a clear in for that. But I don't want it to be a filter category. I want him to be an enemy. Cool. So he's an enemy, current mask, and we're gonna want to add a player mask. Cool. Or actually, I think it's even better if we just remove this component entirely and just re-add it. So we'll go there and then re-add in the physics component. Okay. And we'll make this guy a bit heavier. We'll have him as 50. Friction, and this guy is also going to be dynamic, but he's going to have a 0. And his filter category, he's going to be an empty. Filter mask is player and walls. Filter mask player and walls is good enough. And the tag will be enemy. And in the group of enemies. Awesome. And if we turn on our colliders, it shows that he has a collider, he has everything he needs. So we'll put him up here. Save our game, and let's run it real fast. And we should be able to collide into our enemy. Ugh. Whoa, he's moving pretty fast. That's fine. Awesome. So we got our enemy there. We can collide with our enemy. We can also add in triggers. So if we go here to and go add new game object, and we'll call this to in building. So in building. And this is just a trigger, so it's going to have a transform component. They all basic game objects start with your transform component, your tag, and your group. It's your name in the new one. Maybe I should change it back to tag. You guys let me know. And here we can just add a trigger. So the first thing we're going to do is add a box collider. Okay, so we go here and we go to box collider. Awesome. And we'll make it 16 wide by 8 high. That looks good. Move it over, move it up, try to move it into place. Get it into place. Cool. So now our trigger's in place. And we're going to want to actually go here and we're going to want to add a physics component to it. Alright, so it has a physics component. It's going to have 0, everything, 0. It's static, gravity scale 0, threshold 0. This is static, and we only want this to trigger on the player. Or no, this is a trigger, sorry. And we only want its filter to be a player filter. Cool. And then we'll call this a tag of in building is our tag. And we're gonna wanna set it to a trigger. See how it changed color to green? Green's our triggers. Cool. Now to actually see this trigger, we need to actually update the contacts of the physics system. And we also are gonna need some events So the first thing we're going to want is to actually have a trigger system. So we're going to create a new file. So if we go to our content display, go back in, go back to code, go to systems right here, and we can create a new class. And we'll call this trigger system. Trigger system. Hit enter, created that for us. Now, I like it because when we open this up, it automatically creates a template basically of a class here for us. So it just makes a Lua class, a simple class. We have to fill it out still. However, I like naming them differently when we actually name our files. I actually want to call it trigger system.lua, like that. Cool. So that should still be open. Or we'll open it again. This one won't exist anymore because we changed the name of it. Awesome. So for the trigger system, we actually want to change this a little bit. The trigger system is actually going to be a subscriber. So we're going to local and go sub. And that's equal to subscriber. And that's going to be called the trigger system. And local this can stay like that. And it's going to have a few functions that go on this. So it's not going to have any variables for our trigger system, but we're still going to use this. So we're going to go this dot on collision is equal to function object A object B, and if not object A is trigger and not object B is trigger, then we're just going to want to return. And then this end is for here. Else, all we're going to do for now is just log that we're triggered. So we'll just say trigger A. Also trigger tag A, and it's just object A get tag. And we can copy this. Trigger tag B, object B. That's all we're going to do for that one. So for our sub, we need to go sub set variable table, and that's equal to this. And then sub, so subscriber set on update. And we can still, we don't have to do any on update stuff for that right now, but we need to make this into a function. Sorry, this needs to actually be inside of here because this takes a function. To do. And we don't need the meta table for this one, and we're going to return the subscriber. Cool, that's our trigger system for now. Now this is not the way that we would actually do it. This is just quick for testing. Okay, so now that we have a subscriber, what are we subscribing to? We actually have to create an event. So we're going to need a collision event. So let's go back into our engine here and go back to, and right here, create a new folder, and we'll call this the events. And in events, let's go in here and we'll create a new Lua event. This will create our collision event for us. So we can go collision event. Now, not all events need a handle input function. The collision input event is one of them, so we don't need that. Anyway, so we can just hit enter. Cool, created our collision event for us. Let's take a look. So you can put your name here, event name. It's just going to be the collision event. Collision event. So these are basically made for us automatically by the engine. So now we have our collision event. Cool. And we have to create some functions. So we have our on execute here. We need to do this in here. So on execute for this one. Let's make this a little bit smoother. I think I'm gonna run out of time, but that's okay. Let's see what we can do. Subscribers is equal to event get subscribers. And then we go local event vars is equal to event get variable table. And then we want to loop through all of our subscribers and call the onCollision function. So for k v in pairs subscribers do, and here we can add end here as well. And here we want to go local subvars, so our subscriber var variables is equal to v dot variables subvars dot on collision event vars dot object a event vars dot object b. Awesome. So we'll loop through and check both of our objects. And then a emit event is going to be just like that. Actually, that's perfect. We don't need to do anything for that. And set variable table vars and return event. That's perfect. Awesome. I believe that's good, but we're going to have to test. So now that we have those, let's go back into our main.lua and create our trigger system. So where's our camera system? We'll do it right here. Sure. And we go G trigger system is equal to trigger system create. And then we also need to go G collision event is equal to collision event create. And we're going to want to subscribe our trigger system. So we'll go G collision event subscribe and we want to send in our G trigger system. So we just set our trigger system as a subscriber. Awesome. And then go down to our update and update our trigger system. So we'll update it before the camera. G trigger system on update. Awesome. We need to also update our contacts. So let's create a quick function for that. Function update contacts and then we want to go local UD1, that's user data 1, UD2 is equal to contact listener get user data. So we have our user data, so we want to check to see if they actually are both there. So we just go if UD1 and UD2, then we need to get our local collision vars. Collision vars is equal to G collision event get variable table, and then we want to go collision vars dot emit event UD1 UD2. And so we're updating our contacts, and we can update our contacts after our player. So update contacts. That doesn't take anything. All right, so that should work, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. Let's get rid of this run script. And we're actually going to create the script list right now. So we'll do that. Let's go back to the engine. Go to tools. Oh, we already have it open. Here, let's go load scripts again. See, it loaded our new scripts. And we can actually move where we want them, how we want them loaded, which position we want them loaded in or created in. And that's fine right there. So we generate script file. So what that did is it generated the script list for us right here. Cool. And then this is created for us and how we want them loaded. So now the engine will load them in this order. We'll load all of our scripts. Awesome. So let's go back into the engine and see if it works. We'll just go to our debug errors to see what happens. Cool. So we have an error. First thing is we have in main.lua 80 expected a symbol right here. So let's go back into main.lua and go to 80. Yes, equals. Awesome. Go back to our engine. Start it again. We have another error. So 5 attempt to global camera system. Again, should see it. Oh, my script list is incorrect. No, that's correct. Let's see what our script list says. So it says 5 attempt to do global camera system. Oh, failed to load script. This is the problem here. Sorry, there's more errors than I expected. So let's go here. So collision at 17, do expected near move down. Okay. So collision event. Let's go back to collision event. (17). Why did it say move down? There. Do. That should be do. 4K V pairs in subscribe. You guys probably saw that too. That's funny. Alright. Let's try again. Scene. Stop. Play. Still has errors. Okay, so what's next? Trigger system 20. Yeah, this is the hard part about trying to do everything fast. Let's go back. Trigger system 20. Right here. Oh, look at that. So silly. There's probably more stuff. Okay, let's try again. Stop and start. Yay, we got it moving, no errors. And now if we go to our info, it should actually tell us if we're touching this here. Awesome, so we're in building, see? And it's not doing anything, it's not triggering now. So what you'd have to do, you just have to link that up to something so you could go inside of the building. All right, that's it. That's what I could do in an hour, guys. So let's, obviously there's still some bugs I gotta work out on the engine, but it's actually getting really good. It's getting much better than it was. You can move things around, you can add in, you can do animations, lots of stuff, lots of growth still to do. You can add in, these can be parents and childs of each other, so you can add in new game objects. Let's just make a couple. You can make children here and there, all that stuff. So it's actually looking pretty good. All right, so give it a big like and subscribe if you haven't already, and leave a comment below. Tell me what you think. You know, I'm trying to get better and continue to grow, and hopefully you guys are enjoying the videos. If there's any ways that I can improve, or if I'm just doing a good job, let me know. All right, take it easy.